Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Kathy Taylor. I'm with the Ontario Nonprofit Network and don't live too far from here in Wellington County, so it's nice to come to Waterloo Region. As you know, ONN is the network for Ontario's 58,000 nonprofits and charities. We engage our diverse group of nonprofit organizations to bring their voices to government and other stakeholders. The nonprofit sector contributes $65 billion to our province's GDP, employing 844,000 people in Ontario and engaging 5 million volunteers. And I know all of you know nonprofits and charities in your ridings. As a sector, nonprofits receive less than half of their revenues from governments, all three levels combined, actually, which we leverage with private grants and donations, fees for service, volunteer efforts to create additional value for our communities. So with every $1 of investment, nonprofits generate up to $2.18 in GDP and $1.76 in employment income impact, which is equivalent to many other industries in Ontario, such as manufacturing and automotive. Nonprofits create communities people want to live in and raise their families in. And as you know, each day Ontarians across the province are supported by organizations and staff who are at the heart of the nonprofit sector, such as youth employment services, service clubs, childcare centres, mental health, Meals on Wheels, local art galleries and museums, soccer and hockey clubs, and more. And all of these things are examples of nonprofits in action. So imagine for a moment if all or any of them disappeared. And I hate to end the day on a bit of a depressing note, but I'm here to tell you today that Ontario's nonprofit sector is at a tipping point. Over the last few months, we have seen urgent calls from the sector, small and large nonprofits, rural and urban, and across different subsectors, social services, arts and culture, sport and recreation, ringing alarm bells about potentially dire financial and human resource situations. For example, just heard some media reporting about Harbourfront in Toronto struggling to operate due to funding concerns. A rural service club in central Wellington will be ceasing operations due to low management or low membership and the difficulty in recruiting and training volunteers. Our ability and capacity to serve communities is tied to our resources, financial and human. And if one or both are not healthy, we cannot support communities. And every nonprofit closure does leave a tear in our social safety net. And to the previous presentations, every tear from a nonprofit or charity will drive up costs and demand on tertiary institutions like hospitals, long-term care institutions, treatment centres. So while we are known to be resilient and practical, the nonprofit sector cannot keep running on fumes into an uncertain future. And so the time has come to heed the sector's budget recommendations. You know, we've done 4 surveys during the pandemic. We call them State of the Sector surveys. And our last survey in 2023 showed that nonprofits are not thriving. They're barely surviving. The demand for services is sharply increasing and has grown 29% since 2020. Financial situations are on a downward spiral, and organizations are struggling to meet the increasing costs based on inflation. The HR crisis continues and is driven by a lack of sustainable funding that is impacting the retention and recruitment of staff across the sector, and 2/3 of the sector are reporting staffing challenges. And only 58% of our respondents said they were somewhat prepared for emergencies, which is concerning. Nonprofit closure reports are increasing, with 35% of organizations reporting they know of another similar nonprofit closing. So our analysis reveals that if these current trends continue and if there's no adequate public policy response through 2026, every nonprofit in Ontario will be experiencing an increase in demand in service at the same time as reduced revenue, which means that every Ontarian will be impacted in some way. So for this reason, we ask you to seriously consider budget recommendations for 2024. We know that you're hearing from the sector, individual organizations, small or large, and their provincial bodies, and they're putting forth urgent and timely recommendations to support their finances and their people, so Ontarians have the programs and services they need now. We ask you to take their requests seriously and provide the much-needed support. Our recommendations focus more on the policies and sector-wide strategies. So such as future-proofing Ontarian social infrastructure with investments that reflect the true cost of service delivery, like transfer payment agreements and cost of living increases, addressing the nonprofit human resource crisis, and making government activities deliver twice as much for communities with social procurement and community benefit agreement policies, and enabling communities to develop the infrastructure they need by prioritizing nonprofit access to surplus lands and Infrastructure Ontario loans. But what I really want to highlight for you today is that to make all of this happen in a low-cost and most impactful way, a home in government for Ontario's 58,000 nonprofits and charities would make a difference. We are asking for an associate minister level appointment within a ministry such as economic development, job creation, and trade, supported by a deputy or assistant deputy minister in an office to represent nonprofits, charities, and innovation. We think this is important to address the urgent issues that require a whole-of-government approach, such as the labour force crisis, regulatory burdens, and inconsistency across ministries.
1 minute.
It allows us to do more complex, collaborative, innovative work without the red tape. Right now, we're working with 16 different ministries across the province on regulatory issues, program planning, and policy. And it would be good for government because it would give government one-stop shop to be able to work with the nonprofit sector, identify issues, and increase efficiency and effectiveness. It's very similar to the thinking around having an associate minister for small business that currently exists. And in 2021, both BC and Newfoundland and Labrador successfully created homes in government. So I want to leave you with the fact that Ontarians depend on nonprofits every single day, and the nonprofit sector needs the support of the Ontario government. The request for a home in government is a change you can make easily with very limited costs, which will tangibly benefit the nonprofit sector and the communities they serve. Our nonprofit colleagues will also share vital information with you in their submissions and their testimonies, which I hope you have heard and will listen to and consider carefully.
Thank you very much. That concludes the time for your presentation, and we now go to Barbara Schumacher.